If you're old enough to remember when phones had cords and the only thing that went viral was a cold, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Big 6-0 with Kaylee Harris and Guy Rawlinson. Because who better to discuss life's second act than two people who still think mature is a type of cheese?
Well, welcome to the Big 6-0, the podcast for anyone over the age of 60, or those circling the runway at least. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm here, as always, with my chum from Epping West Public, and someone you never wanted to mess with at school, Kaylee Harris.
Oh.
How you doing?
I see what you did there. I'm good.
Hey, speaking of not wanting to mess or mix with anyone, we're going toe-to-toe today with an Aussie legend. The man known as the Marrickville Mauler, who I think was actually born in St. Peter's. Is that right? And just, fought his way into boxing history. He contested 4 weight divisions, was world champion all 4, the 4th being retroactively sort of awarded after an absolutely disgraceful draw. I remember watching it. He's a national hero. He's one of the toughest blokes to ever step into the ring. Jeff Fenech, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
And happy birthday this week, was it?
Yeah, it was yesterday, so I'm definitely in the 60 group now. I know I'm 61. feel young, but these little things happen these days when you get older and you think, wow, yeah, a little bit harder to put the shoes on, put the socks on, those kind of things. But all good, everything's great.
How are the hands? How's the rest of the body, though?
The craziest thing is I've had like 5-6 operations on my hands and I had hand problems all my life, and I thought I'd have arthritis and those kind of things. I got nothing. It's all good.
Yeah, at a certain age, yeah.
You're looking well, I've got to say. You look great.
I feel fine.
Good.
I've got to say, when I was a kid, there was a lot of sport growing up around the house. And, it didn't matter whether it was footy but Dad was a keen boxing fan, okay? But conversation was always around your Jimmy Carruthers, your Vic Patricks, your Ellie Bennett's. So when I was a kid, I was fortunate enough to go and see Johnny Famechon, Lionel Rose, Tony Mundine fight. He used to take me to those.
You were lucky.
I was very lucky. So as a young journo, when I first started in the world of journalism, the editor said, as part of your training, you need to know how to use a camera. So you need to go to South's Juniors for the next 6 months on a Friday night to watch the boxing. I thought, you're kidding me. This is a job description.
And you got paid for that?
And I got paid for that. So for 6 months, every Friday night or thereabouts, I would be going to watch the fights at South's Juniors. Because if you could catch that punch, he said, then you would know your trade. So I learned a lot about the sport. Not that I was involved in it directly, but it was a fantastic experience for me. It got me and my dad together as far as going to the boxing of a Friday night. But your career had nothing to do necessarily with the interest in the sport, was it? For those of us that may not know the background, can you walk me through young Jeff Fenech and how you managed to find your way to Newtown Police Citizen Boys Club?
The first thing was if I showed you a photo of me, maybe we can give it to you later, and I showed you a photo of me when I was like 17 and my friends beside me were 17, you'd think I was 12 or 11. I was like 45, 46 kilos then, and I wasn't the greatest kid in the world, but like I said, I was one of these kids that if there was something out there to get, that I would get it. I remember when I was a kid, I'm not embarrassed to say it, I'd go to Walton's and stuff in the city. I'd wear a big pair of tracksuit pants, go and try a pair of jeans on, and I'm walking out with tracksuit pants and jeans underneath it. But that was, my parents had no money. My dad was sick all his life. My mother worked 3 jobs, so although we seen her for dinners and stuff like that, I know she was working in the middle of the night to try to bring up 6 children. So it was tough. And then all I ever wanted to do was be a first grade footballer. I was very, very blessed. When I was 14, I played Matthew Shield. When I was 15 and 16, I played Jersey Fleague. And then when I was 17 and 18, No, when I was 15 and 16, I played SG ball. And then when I was 17 and 18, I played Jersey flag. And the thing was, just as I was playing Jersey flag and halfway during the year, me and the boys wanted to go to deal with I don't even know if it was a problem back then. We wanted to show that we were the tough guys, and we went to a PCYC looking for a couple of boys that we wanted to beat up on, and we searched the whole place and nobody was there. In the last room, I'll never forget it. It was obviously a door, but it had boxing on it and had a little glass, and you could look in. You didn't have to go in. So I'm looking through the window and I seen a friend of mine from school named Mark Cribb, who also played footy, and he was not a real big guy either. And but we very often read about him being, in the local papers, being Australian champion and so on. And so I just thought I got nothing else to do the afternoon, and I went to sit down and watch. When I was sitting down, I heard this man saying something about it'd be great if we had somebody for you to box, and I'm thinking, because I played football with him, I'm thinking, I could kill this guy. So I put my hand up, and the next day I went there and had a little bit of a box, and at the end of it, that same man, who I'll mention his name very soon, saying, "Oh, that was really good. You were really impressive. You've never boxed before." And I've never boxed before, but in my head I'm saying, no, I just got the shit belt out of me, and he's trying to tell me that was good. So I'm thinking he's just trying to con me so I can go back, and he's got somebody for my friend to beat up on again. So he said, you got to come back. And I said, oh, yeah, I'm coming back. As soon as I walked out of there, my mindset was, mate, don't you dare go back there. You're not that stupid. I don't know. The next day I went back, and it changed my life, and that man was Johnny Lewis. And back then I'm pretty honest to say that none of me or my friends liked the police. We were getting chased and everything most days and trying to keep away from them. Although, like I said, the police back then were completely different to the police today. Those police back then were, they would try to talk to you, and, it's a little different today because the world's different. But, I was just blessed that I went to a PCYC, and instead of being one of those guys who hated them, I was with them every day, and they were the most helpful and grateful people that I've ever been around. And I realised how tough their job was, and then I realised, the good ones were better than good, and they're trying to help us do the right thing. So I was only yesterday got a call from Pat Jarvis, who was the policeman who was called to an incident in St Peters when I got into a fight in the park, and he still speaks to me all the time. I love him. Again, he was a part of the reason why I changed my life. And like I said, after that day, when I went back to the gym, my life changed. I went from being that kid that wanted to meet his friends every Saturday morning, so we'd go down to Paddy's Market and take what we could and then go to the Speedway and fight every weekend, to changing my whole life around. And this is what I want to tell people. If you want to do it, you can. And I, again, honestly can say this. My friends that I hung around with back then, they were all more talented than me. They were bigger than me. They had everything except they didn't have the willpower to say no. I've been with my friends, and I say this without a word of doubt, 365 days of the year, we would all go and do what we'd done during the day together and the weekend. And every single afternoon, whether we got money or whatever, they would go and buy a foil of marijuana, and they would pass the bong around there, and they'd pass them every day. I've never once had it. I couldn't imagine putting my mouth over this orange juice bottle and making all this noise, this crappy coloured water coming up. So I was able to say no to that, and I've never had a drug in my life, so I'm really, really proud of that. I've never had a coffee in my life. I don't know what it was, but like I said, when I had to do something, I would do it. If I didn't want to do it, I didn't have to. And a lot of my friends, not that I lost them because they're still always my friends, but because I wasn't going out with them, they weren't really happy with me, and I'd heard a lot of things. Jeff's given us the arse, he doesn't come out with us anymore. But I kind of made a promise, and I thought to myself, when Johnny Lewis was telling me that you could be this and you could be that, and all of a sudden these things that he just put in my mind, he said, you can be New South Wales champion. I was New South Wales champion. Jeff, if you keep training hard, you can be Australian champion. I was Australian champion. Like within 2 years, I was the captain of the Olympic boxing team in 1984 at the Olympics, and like I said, my life had changed. And the other thing that changed was I seen in my neighbourhood, because back then the Olympics, it was not just everybody paid. I had to run raffles and raise money from people around the area, and everybody helped me. So, like I said, I'm in this position today without any doubt because of the people. If people didn't watch me fight on on TV and pay, I wouldn't have my beautiful house. I wouldn't be the person I am. So I owe so much to Johnny Lewis and the PCYC for changing my life.
Are you in touch with any of that crew that you ran with on the streets these days? Are any of them still in contact?
Well, I think most of them are dead, or I have seen a couple of them over the years, and of course I'll go and buy them when I want to give them money and stuff. But I'm so blessed that same age as me, they got no teeth, they're still drug addicts and stuff like that. So for me it's the saddest thing ever. I only wish that I had the power back then and not just the power, but I wish I could have showed them earlier what I was doing and what it was going to do for me, give them the same outlook on life that I had. Like if I work hard, like I said, Johnny, every day was, Jeff, work hard, do the right thing, and this is going to happen. Like I said, it kept happening. And then I started to realise we train for 2 hours a day, whatever it may be. This was my outlook in life. I said, it's not those 2 hours that are going to make me champion. It's the other 22 on my own, what time I go to bed, how much I rest. And I was an apprentice bricklayer, and then all of a sudden I went from being an apprentice bricklayer when I was like 17, 16 and a half to never working again. I worked hard, but I never had a job again in my life, So, like I said, Johnny Lewis and the PCYC changed my life.
Your boxing career is very well documented, and I want to touch on it a little bit. You mentioned, captaining the Australian Olympic team, a very dubious decision there at the Olympics, which cost you a medal, I'd imagine.
Well, it's the first time in Olympic history that the judges usually tell you if you win or not. This year there was a jury as well, and these people in the jury in the amateur sport are just some people who have been around for a long time. They get a free trip overseas. They most probably weren't even watching the fight, but they scored it to the other person, and they reversed the decision, and I lost automatic bronze medal and then an opportunity to fight for the gold medal. So I lost that opportunity. But to do it, this is what people don't realise. My career is documented well, but I had 25 fights as an amateur before I went to the Olympics. The guys I fought had 300, 200, 100 and something. So it was like I was born to be at the youth club, as I think I was born to box. Everything just come together, and I did things quicker than anybody else in the history of the sport.
Well, it was not long after that, wasn't it? It was about 3 bouts. Was it the Australian super lightweight title you've picked up after 3 bouts? And I don't even want to. You remember Moonland. I remember where I was when I was watching that first world title fight. And I think that was after seven
my seventh fight,
fights. Yeah. And I remember where I was. I was there with mates and we were watching it. And we thought, who is this bloke? Like, we'd seen you. But
the great thing is, the reason why you were able to watch it was because Channel 9 lost the Logies. I'm not sure if it was to Channel 10 or Channel 7. So the great Mr. Packer thought, this is an opportunity to have somebody or do something different and maybe get a few viewers from the Logies. And while I was training in my training camp, 60 Minutes came with me to Fiji and watched all my training. So all of a sudden people were seeing this little kid from the back streets of Maribor where I trained to fighting for a world title in 196 days, and they tuned in, and we outrated the Logies for the first time in TV history. We beat the Logies in ratings.
But 7 fights, that's unheard of.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that what people don't realise, after my 7th, if you count until around my 23rd fight, I'd fought for 13 or 14 times for the world title. Let's just say, I don't know if it'll ever be done again, because in this day and age things are happening quicker. But like I said, I was the first person to win 3 world titles and be undefeated. My 4th world title would have made me the same, the first person to win 4, but they gave it a draw over in Vegas, and then 31 years later they did something that was pretty credible, because it was, I won the fight quite easily. But like I said, with me, everything in life happens for a reason. All those adversities that I've gone through and the ups and downs are the reason why I'm sitting here and able to talk, because, I've got a story, and I know that what I've been through has been pretty tough. And like I said, the toughest thing that nobody really realises is that, if a runner has a torn hammy, he can't win a race. If a horse has a bad, I had broken hands in 90% of my fights, and I won just about every one of them with that, And again, people say, "Oh, you got a massive heart, you got a heart like Farlap." I said, no. Farlap never just had a heart. He had this head that wanted to beat every other horse, and that was the same as me. It's first from the head, then from the heart. The great Bryce Courtney that wrote The Power of One and so on, he sent me a message one day and he said, "Son, like, you can't believe you, and yeah, you're the words to my book, The Power of One, but it's first from the head and then from the heart."
Those titles in 85, 87, 88, and I don't want to rehash a whole lot of that, but as I said, I was in the States when you had that fight against Azuma Nelson, and it was the draw. There was a split decision, and I could almost see on your face, it wasn't disappointment, it was almost... I don't know, what was it? Because, and how do you come back from that emotionally? Because you know in your heart that you've actually won that.
Well, guess what? I was never the same after it. I thought that the sport that I loved and give 200%, not 100%, because I was the fittest boxer. Just recently we had those huge fights in Saudi Arabia or wherever it might have been, where Canelo and everybody fought. In the whole fight between the two champions, they threw 200 something punches. On my own, in one round, I throw over 200. So boxing's changed. A lot of money, a lot of things happening. But like I said, I don't have an excuse. But something left me that evening in Las Vegas. I never felt the same. I've never been hurt in a fight before, not in that fight as well. But after it, something left me, and I was getting hurt and sparring and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe, and I believe in karma. Maybe that cheeky little bastard got in all the trouble when he was young. Got whoever's up there said that's enough for him. Let's make it a bit harder again. He's had a good run again. So, but like I said, I wouldn't change anything. Would I change that decision? No, I wouldn't. The greatest thing that ever happened to me was the draw in my boxing career, and then my loss against Azuma Nelson, because that made me realise and let me know who my real friends were and let me know who I was. Had I not lost, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in America partying, doing stuff like that, and I wouldn't have met my beautiful wife. I wouldn't have had my beautiful children. So when I talk about my life and my career, and people ask me what was my favourite fight, I say, well, my first fight against Azuma Nelson, because I really won, but it was a draw, and then the rematch where he taught me a lesson that you don't just think you're going to win a fight and take things easily. Like I said, my mindset changed completely. I just, wow, I can beat anybody now. And I trained like that. I didn't do what I'd done. Like I never did an appearance or anything in my life prior to a fight. I'd signed with Tui's The Big Blue. I was doing appearances for him every night, with women every night, and just partying like somebody who's super successful does.
What about, I want to talk to you about the difference between boxing then, say in the 80s, and boxing now with the likes of UFC. I mean, it feels like to me, as someone who's not overly into boxing, that the UFC people, their social media status is more important to them, and the fame side of it is more important to them than the actual sport. Is that a fair comment or not?
Oh, definitely so. And it's not more relevant or thing, but you got to realise this, I can have the worst camera in the world, but if I put it out there and let everybody see it and at the right time and say how great it is, people are going to buy it. And I mean, boxing has been their own, or has brought about their own downfall, because they don't really care what happens anymore. They had, like I said, these judges who judged me back in 91 when I had the draw, they still judge that and they still do the same thing. I mean, listen, if you can't do your podcast, somebody's going to say, listen, go and do something else. These guys, and let me say, they do cheat, but they don't cheat on purpose. What they do is, just think of this, that you're doing a podcast, I own this podcast, I own this building, I'm letting you, all of a sudden you're going to be super nice to me, you got to. So these guys, like I said, not on purpose, but if something's close, they'll always give it to the promoter who's flown them around the world. Because, like I said, these guys get flown around the world for free, they eat for free. I'm happy to say they get women sent to their room if that's what they want. If that's going to make the promoter get the right decision, that's what they do.
Speaking of promoters, Bill Morty, what impact did he have on your life at the time? He was a very big name in the sport in the 80s and 90s. Was he good influence, bad influence?
No. Wow. He took the biggest gamble ever. But like I said, I don't know, was back and file up every race, a huge gamble. It's always a gamble, but he was blessed that he found me as a young kid and supported me and, got me that world title quicker than ever. But like I said, I'm one of those guys that always tell the truth, and I'm going to have to say something here. Think of 5,000 Sky Channel outlets at $300, $350, add it up. Think of 15,000 people, just add $100, which was more than that, add it up. Think of the sponsorship, add it up, and I got $100,000 for like my world title fight. But listen, I don't begrudge, but I'm just saying, I honestly believed I deserved more. And then I find out that my manager, who was another huge name in Australia because he was the boss of the NRL, Colin Love, and when I did approach Bill Morty, and this is the first time I'm saying this on a podcast, when I did approach Bill Morty, his words were, go and ask your bloody manager. He's 50% in the promotion. So, but that's boxing, and that's people. I have gone through all that, like I said, and today I tell people about money. People say, oh, money's evil, money's no good. Money's amazing. It's the best thing ever if you know how to spend it. If you spend it on having memories with your family and taking your kids to places they're never going to forget. When I pass, my kids will say, oh, we went to Disneyland with Dad, or we went here, or we went there. Then money's great. And the people who say it's not great, they say because they don't have it. And like I said, I talk about diseases, and I spoke about them earlier to you guys about, COVID and stuff. There's one disease that we're never going to get a cure for, and we're never going to get rid of, and it's jealousy. To me, that's the worst thing in the world. I mean, I look at people today like Jake Paul, and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and they've never fought. But guess what I say? Wow, how smart are they? I congratulate them. I think they're amazing, and they're getting eyes on the sport. But guess what? Everybody in the world, you work for money. You're doing a podcast. I do what I done. This guy invented this scheme and stuff by being on social media and getting all these followers that made him earn hundreds of $millions. I take my hat off to him. Congratulations. I'm not one bit jealous.
There's a lot of things that you obviously learn inside the ring about yourself. You mentioned Johnny Lewis. What are some of the things you've learned outside of the ring about people that maybe Johnny taught you as well that have stayed with you?
Well, I'm going to tell you this now. So Johnny was, like I said, without doubt the biggest influence on my life by far. Not my mum and dad, but Johnny, because I spent from like I said, from 17 a bit, I spent every single day with him. I travel the world with him. I breakfast with him, lunch with him. I got to see him every single night, and he taught me all these things and all the principles. And like I said, where Johnny come from in Erskineville, there were a lot of great tough guys, Terry Ball, Nettie Smith, all those guys were all around at that time. And Johnny would always tell me stories about them all. And if you told on this guy or this, or if you did this to somebody, you were going to be punished and whatever. And it was like a pretty scary thing to listen to. And so, not that I was scared of him, but I'm just saying, just listening to some of the stories that he told me about what these guys had been through, like when, Terry Ball, apparently this is a beautiful man that I met many, many times. His son also boxed. I heard he got shot once, and then he went and drove over the top of somebody that shot him, and he drove back over him and whatever. And then as you go on in life, and I'm trying to live by the method that Johnny showed me, or the words that he spoke about. I had a few problems later in my life, and I thought that Johnny betrayed me on everything that he taught me, and that's going to be my doco is just coming out, and hopefully that'll be out. But like I said, and I just will tell the truth. I'm not going to pretend that something happened to me if it didn't happen, and I'm not going to say something that I think can help somebody if it can't. And I've spoke to Johnny many times now. He's and he's 80, and I love him. When I see him, I cry. I love him. When I talk to him, I get off the phone. I'm emotional. But like I said, he kind of broke my heart because he broke my heart, and he didn't really want to. But there was a circumstance where there was a few other boys that that he also helped and raised, and then but still, for him to betray me, if that was me and somebody done that to whoever it was, I would. They're dumb because that's what Johnny taught me. But like I said, what I have learnt about my friends and stuff is I'm very, very famous for. I used to say, how can somebody say their wife's their best friend or their girlfriend's their best friend? Me, only males were my best friend. I learned without doubt when I went through trouble and I went through tough times that my wife and my children are my best friends I've ever had, and they always will be. My wife's been the most loyalist person to me, even when I've done things that weren't the best. And, where my friends that I've bought houses and helped them buy cars and taken them all around the world have just turned their back and left me, close the door. But that's life. And you know what? When you've been through that, it makes you stronger and tougher. And that money for me was wasted for a great reason. When you waste a lot of money and you learn the most powerful lesson you'll ever learn in life, that, who your real friends are and who you are, it was great. And like I try to tell people this too, man, because people say, Jeff, you're still the same as you was. I said, no, I wasn't. That guy that was 3-time world champion, I don't like that guy one bit. Yeah, he was, he got everything for nothing. He could walk into a nightclub and get as many drinks as he wanted for him and his friends, go straight to the front of the line and all that. That was amazing when you think I'm world champion. Look what happens when you're world champion. I got children today, and I see and I think about what me and my friends done when we went out and stuff like that, and I think, wow, if somebody done that to, my daughter or, I would kill them. So I kind of don't like that guy, but again, it's a lesson, and the greatest lesson is that I'm able to tell the truth in front of the camera because it doesn't bother me one bit. It does. It makes me feel bad because then again, I think to myself, just because if I was just Jeff Fenech, that's not happening to me. But because I was 3-time world champion, that happened. And I try to tell everybody, I don't care what anybody says, because they used to always ask me, hey, Jeff, you're still the same. I'm like, yeah, of course I'm the same. Excuse me, but bullshit. Fame and fortune changes everybody. I don't care who you are, what you've done. And I've been blessed. I've travelled the world with Kerry Packer. I've trained the great Mike Tyson. And I've been around a lot, so I've witnessed a lot of stuff, and I witnessed a lot of that false friendship and people that are around people for the wrong reasons. And like I said, again, for me, all the mistakes I made and the things I tell people, I said, listen, please, just take it as a lesson, not a life sentence.
What do you want your legacy to be? How do you want people to remember you?
Well,
other than obviously your sporting achievements.
Well, I don't want people to talk to me about boxing. I mean, that's great. And people know I know what I've done. And people say, oh, he was hopeless. People say he's good. Oh, he done this. So none of that bothers me. But what I want people to know is this. And this is something I don't share, but I'm very happy to share. Well, I'm not happy, but like I said, I'll be at a restaurant and see two beautiful people having dinner and they'll smile when I walked in there. I will send them a bottle of wine, they'll thank me, but when I leave, I'll pay their bill as well. I've done it all around Australia, when I go all around the world. When I go to Bangkok, it's the happiest time of my life because I can give people what they've never had. And I want people to remember me as an Aussie sportsman who realised that without the Australians, I'd be nobody. If people didn't pay to watch me fight, I wouldn't have my house. If people didn't pay to watch me, nobody would know me. So I really want the rest of my life and career to be all about me giving back and helping and letting people know that, that I appreciate what they've done for me.
You're always perceived as that tough guy, regardless of what you do in the future. People have that vision of you. Is there a time or where you felt vulnerable, or do you now as you're getting older?
Yeah, no, I feel vulnerable in situations like because of this, crap social media. These people are able to write crap about me and my family, and I'm not sure if you've been on there and read what I've said back to them, but it's not too good. I tell people, I've had one day, it was just on Mother's Day, somebody saying something about my wife in a photo, and I paid this person back tenfold, and I got a message from somebody saying that, Jeff, it's Mother's Day and you were talking to Mother. I said, let her remember it was Mother's Day as well, and not talk about my wife, and she's a mother as well. So I just look at the world this way. If I go out with my friend, I go home with my friend. I don't care what are the circumstances. If something happens to you today, I'm in here, I'm jumping in front of you straight away. I'm going to try to protect you. That's who I am, and I'm always going to protect my family. And like I said, I only wish that I was in Bondi when that guy was carrying a knife around, because I don't know. There was so many people. You think of how many people would be in there and how many people were. All they'd do is pick something up and pretend they were going to throw it in, jump on him, 2 or 3 people, and we would have saved some lives. So, like I said, we need all our kids today at school to have a lesson where they learn self-defense. And not just self-defense, they need somebody to talk to them. And let me tell you something. So they get you in at the start of the year and they say, yeah, we've got this amazing guy, he's a motivator, he's going to talk to you. They talk to the children all walk out, they feel great. 2 weeks later, it's forgotten. They've got to do this every couple of weeks. They've got to do it every week. When these kids leave school on Friday, listen, so you got Saturday and Sunday, you're on your own now, please, let's not do drugs, they've got to be reminded every time. Listen, there are still going to be some that break the rules, but there are going to be others that don't. Because they're going to remember, wow, we just got that right. I used to write everything that I had to do every day on my wall at home. Everything that Johnny told me to do, I'd have it written down and do it every morning when I woke up. My routine was amazing, So that's what I want kids to know that. Yeah, you don't have to do what other kids do, and if you don't do what other kids do, one day people are going to say, wow, how lucky was he, or how strong was he not to. And yeah, that's how I feel. I feel empowered by some of the stuff that I'd done as a young kid. I feel embarrassed by some of it, and I'm embarrassed, and stupid by some of it. But at the end of the day, I'm here, and like I said, I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, and I'll answer the question because I'm proud of who I turned into. I'm proud of what those mistakes and lessons, that brought me to.
You mentioned before about social media, and this is a very loaded question. What else is wrong with the world? Do you think we could be doing better with?
Yeah. Well, earlier when my friend there was saying about when he'd come home, he'd do this and do that with his dad and stuff, that doesn't happen anymore. When I went home every single day, I tried to skip my homework, but I was straight at the park playing footy with my mates. The park was full. Everybody from everywhere would go, we'd get together, we'd play footy or we'd do something. And today, they don't have that anymore. They're too soft. The world has become soft. I mean, parents are allowed to scream at their son or daughter, which I think's terrible. My dad whacked the hell out of me with a belt. I'm not saying I didn't deserve it, but still it made me tough, it made me strong, and it made me know the world that I was living in. Today, you say something to your children, they can go to the police, you're in trouble. And so I just honestly believe that the world's changed, and social media is a major part of that, because like I said, if there was no social media, these kids would be going riding bikes or kicking balls and stuff with their best friends like I done every day of my life. And that's how, that's how you get great relationships, by being around somebody. You don't get a relationship by talking to somebody on social media and then they think you said something wrong and they put a fake account or something, they having a dig at you, and they're the people who're supposed to be your friends and respect you. So no, I mean, I wish I didn't get on social media, and every day I think just to switch it off. But I have one really enjoyment. Every day I wake up at 6 a.m. or whatever, I go and say happy birthday to everybody and have a great day. And so then I have my social media on. I don't look at it again in the day. I might look at it in the afternoon when somebody says, thank you, Jeff. I'll always say pleasure, have a great day, or pleasure, So that's, that's really my thing that I do on social media. But there's been many times I've thought I'm just going to say, listen, guys, I just want to say happy birthday to everybody for every birthday for the rest of their lives. I'm getting off social media.
And for all the evils of social media, we were talking earlier, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, you're about to do some work in the mental health space. Are you allowed to walk us through that a little bit? Yeah,
I definitely am. I was speaking to some people over the last few weeks, and what I want to do is I want to do a series of podcasts where we talk about, somebody will ask me questions about my life and mistakes and so on, and being able to say no to drugs and what kids should be doing, what their parents should be doing. Because like I said, a parent today in this world, the first thing they should do when their son or daughter says, I'm going out with Johnny or Jackie tonight, is go and see if they're there. That's the first thing. And 99 times out of 100, we're never there. We've done that all our lives. But then also go and find out what their family's like. Find out a little bit about the person your children are going to be with, because that's 90% of the time, that's what your child turns into, the people they hang around with. And I just think that the first thing that I want to do is I want to try to, and not that I'm this guru, but I just think that parents need to be educated and parents need to be told. Like I said, I've been around places in Double Bay and stuff, seeing these youngest kids that I know that, to rich parents doing whatever they want to do. And I try to tell people, when I was a young kid, I wasn't going to Marrickville School to sell or steal anything. I'm going out where the rich kids are. So these kids, we're not, people aren't going to sell drugs to people at Marrickville School or St. Peter's School. We didn't have money to buy them. But they're going out to Double Bay and those places where they know people have got money. And we've got to get together and realise that this is the truth. We all try to hide the truth. We all try to hide behind a tree or behind a door. Oh, my son wouldn't do that. My daughter wouldn't do that. Well, let me tell you, your son and daughter are like everybody else's son and daughter. They all do things. Crazy thing was I was watching this young man sing on Australia's Got Talent or America's Got Talent, whichever one it was. And he told a story that his father was a policeman and his mother was a lawyer and he was a rebel. And so he got in trouble and they kind of disowned him. He was brought up by his grandfather and he sang this song. And not only was it amazing, but just to hear him be able to say that and talk about it is amazing, because that's what we lack in the world today. People that have enough courage to talk. And again, yesterday I done a bit of a story on Ian Roberts. The courage that Ian Roberts had in 1995 to come out and say he was gay in the toughest sport of all was one of the greatest things that ever happened. I mean, yeah, look, I think everybody's equal. But back in the day, if we would have seen him or thought that, the barbs that would have been, you are this, you're that, we don't have to say, but people know what they would have said. For him to do that, wow, that's one of the most amazing statements I've ever heard. And one of the greatest, because it's given life to everybody else that are gay. And he's given life to people. He's given them something to look up to and to realise, I'm not going to be scared to walk down the street and hold my friend's hand, And, that to me, Ian Roberts is an amazing individual.
You've been incredibly generous with your time, but what's the one misconception you think people would probably have of Jeff Fenech?
Just the things that I've done wrong. I just think, like I said, people hold things in their mind they don't want to forget. So if there's anything that if you're in an argument, they will bring up the dirt. And like I said, I'm happy because I know the dirt has been cleaned, and I learned from the dirt. But let them know that anybody that even attacks me and my family will be attacked back. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Bible reader, but I do know one thing. It says an eye for an eye. And usually if you try to take one of mine, I'm going to take two of yours.
What a ride. The kid from Marrickville that's turned good as far as, his life, as far as becoming an Aussie legend, an inspiration for people as well. And, of course, was it 2002, the International Boxing Hall of Fame, which is well-deserved. How did that feel? Yeah,
well, again, I'm this kind of person. If somebody asks me for my belts that I'd fought for, they needed for somebody I would donate them, because my belts are just on a mantelpiece. My life and everything else is out there, and what I tell people is that when I get off a plane and go to a boxing convention, every world champion congratulates me, and I get the gratitude from the people, not from my belts. That's when you know you made it, when your peers say you're a champion, not because the belt says you won a fight. And it's longevity. Like I held 3 world titles for nearly 10 years. I was undefeated on every one of those weight divisions. And like I said, putting that aside, that's why I'm respected in the boxing world, because people know I took the hard road and I kept to the top. I didn't surrender. And like I said, that's the biggest thing for me, is getting a pat on the back from Roberto Duran or Ray Leonard or Mike Tyson saying that I was his favourite fighter, which he said, or Evander Holyfield saying that I might be the toughest little fighter that ever lived, That's when you know you made it. Yeah, no money or no belts can replace that. And getting inducted in the Hall of Fame in my first year of being able to be inducted is, again, it doesn't happen. Sometimes you have to wait 20 years or something. Same as in the Australian Boxing Hall of Fame. I still think I'm the youngest person that was ever inducted and the quickest. So I've done some remarkable things, and I don't really get the credit for it. But again, I don't need credit from other people. It's myself. It's like when I do something for somebody, wherever it may be, I'll never, can I tell the people, you've done this for us. I said, please, I don't need you to tell them. If you want to write something, it's up to you, but I don't need you to tell them. I don't need people to know that I paid for something or I gave you some gloves and some shorts and so on. So I just want to help you.
Jeff, you're not just part of boxing history, you are boxing. Thank you so much for your time and spending a little bit of today with us both on the Big 6-0.
Thanks for letting me share some stories, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully the people out there will take a little bit out of it and try to be better people.
The views and opinions expressed on the Big 6-0 are personal and reflect those of the hosts and guests. They do not represent the views or positions of any affiliated organisations or companies. This podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as professional advice. Please consult with a qualified professional for guidance on any personal matters.
Oh, and before we go, let's give credit where credit is due. Kaylee Harris and I came up with all the genius content for this week's episode. Our producer, Nick Abood, well, he keeps the lights on and makes sure we don't accidentally upload a cat video instead of a podcast. So thanks for keeping us on track, Nick. Nick?